Welcome to Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. Casey Porter here, joined by Austin Brubaker. Austin, we have been sitting around, and hey, I'll use a play in your name. We've been brewing about this all week, right? Well, really for a longer than that. And it is finally here. Game one of one of the most anticipated World Series of all time. That's not an exaggeration.
That is not an exaggeration. Welcome to the World Series. Welcome to the Los Angeles Dodgers versus the New York Yankees. Welcome to Shohei Ohtani versus Aaron Judge. Welcome to all the different storylines here in what will be the biggest World Series of as long as I can remember, for the most part. When you talk about the individual matchups, when you talk about the markets, when you talk about the money that is invested into each one of these guys, and you talk about the star power, you have both of the MVPs of each league squaring off against each other in their first World Series for both of them. It is an incredible matchup. It is a matchup that this Dodgers team, this city, has been waiting for quite a while. It's been since 2020 since they've been to the World Series. And if you go back even before that, since 2018, since they've had a chance to watch their team in person during the World Series. This is a long time coming for both of these organizations. Both of them want this desperately. It is star-powered. It is amazing, and it is just 2 hours away. 2 hours away from first pitch of Game 1 of the World Series in 2024, Dodgers versus Yankees. You get goosebumps a little bit. This is starting to feel real.
You're a little bit incorrect there. 1 hour and 59 minutes away. And I am counting. Trust me. I am so ready for this to get going. And like I said, that's not an exaggeration to say this is one of the most anticipated World Series of all times. It's not very often you get two iconic brands, not just in baseball, but of any sport, really of any industry. I mean, think about just any industry like Walmart or McDonald's or whatever. Very recognizable throughout the world. I'm not sure any of those brands are more recognizable than New York Yankees, right? I mean, or like Los Angeles Dodgers. I mean, where in the world would you go somewhere where they've heard the name McDonald's, but they also haven't heard New York Yankees or haven't also heard of Los Angeles Dodgers, right? So yeah, not just the two most iconic names in baseball, certainly of all sport. And I think of any kind of establishment of any kind throughout the entire world. So you get those two organizations together, then you get the two probably most recognizable you have the most recognizable star of any sport in the world right now, Shohei Ohtani, period, in a discussion worldwide, because there's so many baseball countries, in the world. And then Japan, I mean, I don't even think there's any question about that. And then Aaron Judge, and then you have the Mookie Betts. I mean, it's just, I just can't even remember the last time it's set up like this. I just hope the series is as good as the hype is for it, unless the Dodgers make it to where it's not.
Yeah, obviously here, Dodgers Daily, we would be more than thrilled if this went 4 games, if the Dodgers won all 4 games. But this is just setting up to be one of those instant classic type of series because of the star power that you have. You have two iconic brands. This is nothing against, for example, what happened during the World Series last year. As a baseball fan, I love having different teams go and have a chance to succeed during the World Series. This is a different animal. This is a little bit of a different matchup for Major League Baseball and for some of those fans who might tune in just once a year during the World Series. If they see Dodgers versus Yankees, they know exactly what's going down. And it with the two iconic brands, with the iconic and Hall of Fame level players that are going to be on the field. We just got a glimpse of it really over the past couple of seasons with some of the exhibition regular season games that the Dodgers and the Yankees have played. And all those games have been thrilling and exciting. I think you're going to get a lot of that throughout the course of this series because both of these teams With the Yankees, it's a 15-year drought since they've been to the World Series. They want to reestablish themselves as the face of Major League Baseball, which throughout the 20th century, they were the face of Major League Baseball. And for the Dodgers, they have an opportunity to establish themselves as one of the faces of Major League Baseball, to get another one of those World Series titles to add on to the 2020 season, to have a parade in Los Angeles, to win it for Fernando. There is so many storylines that you can dive into this World Series. Makes it absolutely fascinating. And the world is going to be watching this. Believe me, the ratings in Japan, those are going to be unbelievable during this time. And Major League Baseball has got to be loving this, because that's going to bring a lot of viewers. That's going to bring a lot of money into Major League Baseball.
I love how you said win it for Fernando. There's so many side stories to this. Win it for Fernando, kind of win it to for the 2020 World Championship to validate that. Win it for Dave Roberts, for those of us who really feel like Dave Roberts takes on excessive criticism and want to see him get his due. Win it for the fans who have paid the highest ticket prices, and it just continue to fill Dodger Stadium year after year after year, and put the Dodgers in a position to where they're wealthy enough to go get a Shohei Ohtani, to where they're wealthy enough to go get a Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Tyler Glasnow, Teo Hernandez. Then at the trade deadline, to put it's the fans. I hear it's not my money, but yeah, absolutely it is. Because whether it's a ticket price or whether it's a subscription package to an MLB.TV or whether it's, a subscription to a cable or whatever, all of those TV contracts always come back to the viewer, the listener, which when you put that all together, that is the fan, right? So the fans pay the bills. And so the fans of the Dodgers have put this organization in position to go get these guys, to go get a JackFlaherty and a Tommy Edman and a Michael Kopech at the trade deadline. So win it for the fans. There's just so many different reasons why the Dodgers would be motivated beyond just to say you won the World Series here. It's absolutely, and then to have, we mentioned just two iconic brands that are so desperate and hungry for World Series championships. Yes, the Dodgers won it in 2020, but the last full season World Championship was longer ago than the Yankees. You're talking about 1988, right? So, man, not only are they iconic brands, they're very, very hungry brands to bring this trophy home.
They're very hungry brands, and they're very confident brands right now going into the series. We talk about what the Dodgers were able to do, and we've covered it. It was that series against the Padres that they needed to win that in order to get over the hump. That's nothing to say against the series against the Mets, but it was that series against the Padres that they were not able to go over that step during previous seasons, that they needed that desperately in order to get to this moment, in order to get to the World Series. Those games 4 and 5 were so crucial to this organization and for the confidence of each one of these players, each one of these veteran players that are getting a little bit older. There is a little bit of a hunger and a desire to get in this World Series championship, while a Mookie Betts, while a FreddieFreeman, while a Shohei Ohtani, while that core is still in their relative prime age. As they're starting to get a little bit older, some of the production could wear down a little bit. So you really want to take advantage of these next 1 to 3 years to maximize what you get out of those players. They're confident, they're hungry in that aspect. And then for the Yankees, they were able to pretty easily make it to the World Series based off of the teams and the matchups that they were presented with. That's nothing against the Royals. That's nothing against the Guardians. Sure. But the Yankees, just the talent that they were able to have, they got to feel confident because they were able to go through each one of those series. There was some good, there were some competitive games. There was the comeback from Cleveland during that Game 3, but they were able to relatively remain in control during that series. They got a lot of confidence, and especially with that team, with what a player like a Juan Soto was able to provide for them throughout the entire season. I think it was the Yankees last year who I don't even remember if they made the playoffs at all last year. With Juan Soto, he's added another element, and much needed element, and there might be some desperation for the Yankees going into this series as well, because with Juan Soto, he's a free agent after this year. There's not a guarantee that the players that are going to be on this Yankees team are going to be for this team for the continuation going forward. Now, they got a lot of money. They could very well re-sign Juan Soto, but they're playing with a lot of confidence, and they are playing with a sense of we don't know how long these opportunities come. And that is a different mindset than what Yankees teams have had in the past, because they have been a team that has consistently made it to the World Series. Now that they've had this 15-year drought, there could be a little bit more of a push or desperation to say, let's take advantage of this run while we have it. Both sides have reasons to play. Both sides have a lot of confidence going into this series. That's going to make it super fun. I'm super excited about this World Series.
It absolutely is. And we have a wonderful crowd logging in. Chris Fabor, good evening to yourself. Daniel Berry Sports Highlight. Christopher Navarro says, I live in Redondo Beach in Los Angeles. I just got back from the grocery store. Dodgers apparel everywhere. Carts loaded with beer, chips, and stuff to grill. Yes, we're excited. Boy, what a great day to go grab you some chips and some beer and throw something on the grill and sit back and enjoy what a wonderful spectacle this is going to be.
Oh, it absolutely is, and you'll probably save $1,000 by staying at home as opposed to going to the stadium. For those of you who are going to the stadium, be loud. I'm glad. Hopefully, there's somebody, at least one person from Dodger Stadium, tuning into the show today. But if not, we're happy. I'll be watching it from home as well. This is a perfect day to be able to watch World Series Dodgers baseball.
It absolutely is. It was hard to concentrate all day. Hey, Ryan R. Ohtani is huge here in Taiwan. I read the news. The 50-50 ball was bought by a Taiwanese. Go Dodgers. Yeah. Chris Fabor commenting on my 2020 championship says 2020 needs no validation. Everyone played the same number of games. We all agree with that, but the fact is there is a fairly large faction of people that like to make that claim. Those are the people that I think I was referring to, not me. It doesn't need validation from me.
Yeah.
It doesn't need validation from anybody with Dodgers dogs here. But I think there is a certain section of fans that if the Dodgers win tonight, they can't throw that crap in our face anymore. It's kind of what I was saying.
Yes, there's an outside. You got to take yourself a little bit outside from another organization's mindset. That season just was different. Doesn't mean that it's not. It doesn't count the same as the other ones as far as the World Series. It just was a different season. You'd like to see them be able to get another one. So then that conversation point doesn't even wear into weight. I kind of compare it a little bit similar, even though it's two different situations. And I know Dodgers fans are not going to like the team that I mentioned, similar to what happened with the Astros in 2022 versus 2017. 2017 very much was tainted because they were going outside of the rules of Major League Baseball, and I believe that they cheated during that season. 2022, the spotlight was on them. They ended up winning a World Series. That was one for the fans of the Houston Astros to kind of put away a little bit of the sting of the 2017 title. Different situations because the Dodgers, I don't believe at all, cheated during the 2020 season like the Astros did in 2017. But the sting of that and the outside perspective of other baseball fans kind of invalidating that World Series title is a little bit of similar from an outside baseball fan's perspective. So it'd be great for the Dodgers to be able to get another World Series, to be able to put to rest that perspective, and also to be able to have a parade for the fans in Los Angeles. I think the Dodgers fans, because they haven't had that since 1988, I wasn't even a thought back then. It would be great for a lot of Dodgers fans to be able to have that again.
Hey, well, I think we have some smack talk going on, which I don't mind whatsoever. It's the World Series. As long as it stays all in good fun, we want all comers. We want great conversation here. And we don't mind some good back and forth as long as it stays very respectful and very baseball-minded.
I'm very happy to have Yankees fans here to be part of this, and happy to have that conversation with them as far as what are some of the strengths that you see from your team, because I mean we here have a lot of affiliation with the Dodgers, but I also know that there's other fans from other perspectives. Just be respectful, and I'm happy to have you be part of Dodgers Dogs, part of the Dodgers Daily Network.
Yeah, other teams fans I think will find on this channel, this isn't your normal social media sharp tongue smack talking type of environment. Very respectful and very analytical for both sides, and we try to just call it like it is. So we enjoy having everybody who wants to come in Nabus says this will be the 18th World Series the Dodgers lose. So a little bit of smack talk there. So my smack talk back would be, Nabus, when the Dodgers win this series, please come back for the post-game show after the game-clinching game for the Dodgers. Do me a favor. If you're going to come out and that's going to be your first comment, make sure and come back when the Dodgers win on that post-game, right? Is that fair, Austin?
I think that is exactly right. And if the Yankees win the series, I want you to be the first person that shows up on Dodgers Dailies and tell us that we're wrong. But in the meantime, take care of your Orbit B-Boss for us.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Chris Dudley, 2020 counted until their team got eliminated. That's exactly right. Yeah, hey, Anna Thayu. I didn't say that right. It's Atahayu, Atohayu. Hey, if you would, please, I'm butchering that. And so to continue not to butcher that, would you phonetically spell that out for me so I can get that right? I want to make sure and get your handle right here. Woohoo, thank God it is Friday. No doubt about it. Hey,
it's not just Friday, it's World Series Friday.
Yeah. Ayanami no Rai. Why is Rojas on the roster? Did we forget that he was pictured at a casino the night before Game 3 against the Padres, where he messed up so badly? That casino deal, I don't see why anybody would have an issue with that. I mean, these guys have personal lives. They don't live 24 hours a day at the ballpark. And believe it or not, there are times where a manager goes, guys, there's enough. Get the hell away from here. Go do something. Go to a casino. Go fishing. Go somewhere. Just not here right at that moment. Yeah. So somebody going and letting off steam and going and doing something in their own personal time, I don't know why anybody would have an issue with that. Now, as far as Rojas goes, one of the people that were left off, Kevin Kiermaier, that allowed the Dodgers not to have to put Kiermaier on this roster, because now that you have Miguel Rojas, that gives you your defensive center fielder back in Tommy Edman. So once you're able to do that, there's no need for Kevin Kiermaier. So the obvious reasons why Miguel Rojas is on this roster is because he's been a great player this year. He's been a great leader the entire time he has been at with the Dodgers. And so if you're a fan that wants to bring in his character into question, then I can't take you seriously.
Yeah, I don't care a whole lot as far as what the players do in their personal lives. I'm more of the evaluation of what they do on the field. I leave that up to the players, and I leave that up for Dave Roberts for building a culture and making sure players are held accountable. As far as Miguel Rojas, I trust him a lot better as a hitter in comparison to a Kevin Kiermaier, who is left off of the roster. I think he provides another option at the shortstop position, which I think is incredibly important for the Dodgers team to have, because if something happens to a Tommy Edman, what exactly do you do at the shortstop position? I think that is an important question. I think he's a better player right now and fits a little bit of a better role for the Dodgers. And I think if you're worried about some of the late game defense, I think Miguel Rojas has proven himself to be solid at shortstop. And even if you're concerned or not super confident in the center field ability, for example, with an Andy Pages, which we'll get into a lot of those conversations during the offseason as far as roster construction, which I've actually been doing a lot of research on that. I got a lot of thoughts.
Yeah, we're gonna have fun.
We're gonna have a lot of fun with that. You'd be able to move a Tommy Edman to a center field, which I think most Dodgers fans would feel comfortable with that. So I'm not too concerned about Miguel Rojas at all, as long as he stays focused, as long as he doesn't worry about any sort of personal rivalries or personal animosities, or feels too down by the way things went in that game in San Diego. I have all the confidence in the world. He's a veteran type player. He's a leader. He has been part of this Dodgers clubhouse. This stage and this series is too big for him to be worried about any of that other stuff. I have confidence. If Dave feels confident in a Miguel Rojas, he knows a lot better than I know from sitting here in the state of Michigan. So I trust Dave Roberts in that.
Yeah, Miguel Rojas is an elite human being. He's an elite leader. He's elite in the clubhouse. He's absolutely elite at that. So, hey, Jay has a question for you, Austin.
You got it.
Respected analysts think clutch does not exist. They argue it's neither predictive nor repeatable. Kike disagrees with a wink emoji. What say you?
Yeah. So in the general sense, as far as the clutch gene, because it's not one of those things that is measurable statistically. It's very difficult to be able to lean into that. Whereas I lean into more of the large sample, particularly of a lot of the regular season and what they're able to do over the full course of the season, that being able to replicate itself more often than not, even during shorter sample sizes. I can't explain what's going on with Kike Hernandez. He has been a player
He's clutch. That's how you explain it.
He has been a player that hasn't been producing a lot during the regular season. He produces during the postseason, and obviously this is the most important time of the year for Kike Hernandez to be able to show up, and he continues to show up during the postseason. To this point, I just throw up my hands, and it is if it works, that's all I care about, because a lot of the and analyzing a lot of this stuff is to predict what's going to happen during the future. Well, sometimes you got to throw out a little bit of that stuff and say, you know what, Kike, for whatever reason, just performs a lot better during the postseason. You could attribute that to his clutch factor, which I don't doubt. He just has performed. So I'm cool with keeping Kike on the roster as long as he continues to perform during the postseason, because if he does that, that gives the Dodgers the best chance to win during the postseason, which is what we care about.
In the big parts of the game, some guys get nervous, some girls get nervous, some people get nervous, other people get excited. And he's one of those people that get excited, able to control the emotions, the excitement, the energy, and all that, and turn it into positive instead of something that actually makes it where it's more difficult for them to function. You know, it's like whenever you get scared or whatever and you tense up and then you start making stupid decisions, right? I mean, all of those types of emotions that go through your mind, that's what makes you clutch or not clutch. And Kike definitely has all of those. Boy, I'll tell you what, we're all obviously very excited about this World Series. What brutal news is Jay saying here? No Evan Phillips. Now, Evan Phillips, let me finish that. Now, that doesn't mean he can't get put on the World Series roster. That doesn't mean Brusdar Graterol couldn't find an injury, right, or something like that. Yeah. But that for now, there is no Evan Phillips.
Yeah, no, and that is a huge blow to this Dodgers bullpen. It might be one of the most crucial arms that this Dodgers bullpen has out of there. Obviously, you have Blake Treiner that has been closing out a lot of games. You have Michael Kopech, who's just an absolute flamethrower and elite. But then it was that Evan Phillips that would come in during a lot of crucial parts of the game. Maybe it was during the 5th or 6th inning when it was towards the top of the lineup and he needed to go and get 3 outs, 4 outs, 5 outs, whatever the Dodgers needed to do to turn it around towards the bottom part of the lineup. You're not going to have him as an option to go up against Judge, against Soto, against Stanton, at least to start this series. Now, to put him on the roster, you would have to remove somebody from the roster, and then they would not be able to return to the roster. That could be an option, but at this point, it has to do with the health of Evan Phillips, which I don't think any of us had considered coming into this series. Now, the question going into it was, okay, Alex Vesia, Brusdar Graterol, how would we be able to fit them on the roster? And so I think the easiest and the obvious choice, which this is nothing against because I got to see this guy earlier in the year who got removed from the roster, was Edgardo Henriquez. Insane level of talent. I don't think he matches up the greatest against the Yankees with how much the Yankees walk. And you throw Edgardo Henriquez, who started the season in Rancho, who has struggled with his command at times against that Yankees lineup. I think it makes a lot.
Tell you about this, yeah.
Yeah, I think it made a lot of sense matchup wise to go with some of the other options. So I think let's just say that you do that switch for an Alex Vesia and Edgardo Henriquez. I think that made sense. So then the question going into this was okay, if Brusdar Graterol was healthy, who would he replace? And it turns out it was one of the least likely outcomes that we had thought of because it was Evan Phillips. Yeah. And that is an absolute that is going to hurt the Dodgers during this season, their series, because Evan Phillips has been so good for this team. Just really sucks. I still believe that in this Dodgers bullpen and their talent that they have, they lost one of their better arms, though, and that stings.
You know, I love my conspiracy theories, right? Because the Dodgers dive deep analytically, and they come up with a million different scenarios. So I don't even believe they're conspiracy theories. I just think it's one of the possible outcomes the Dodgers could get to that they've covered, right?
All right, let's hear it.
So let's say Brusdar Graterol comes out in game 1 or game 2 and throws 2 or 3 innings, or he's a part of the bullpen game. that you decide to throw, and he gives you like 3 innings, and whoop, all of a sudden, boy, Brusdar Graterol's not quite as healthy. Yeah. And so if you start Evan Phillips on the roster and then remove him for a Brusdar Graterol, then you don't get Evan Phillips back. But if you start Brusdar Graterol on that roster after he's already thrown his 2 or 3 innings, which is probably all you would expect out of him anyways, then you add Evan Phillips, then you get to keep Evan Phillips for the rest of the series. Now, I think most people would be screaming right now, why would you do either, and why don't you just put Brusdar Graterol and Evan Phillips both on the roster and remove Landon Knack?
Yeah, that would be a good question. I think with Bruce, I think you potentially could be onto something right there, because with Brusdar Graterol, what you would want to do is have Brusdar Graterol replace somebody that would already be on the roster, have them not be eligible, and then Brusdar Graterol turns out that he's not 100% ready to go. You need to replace him with somebody else that might be a little bit further down.
You have to do it the other way around.
You got to do it the other way around. You got to start him on the series, start him with the series, and you got to see how he's able to do, and then potentially replace him later. Now, whether that comes with
another loophole the Dodgers have found here. Austin.
Yes, and so let's just assume that Evan Phillips, he would be available later to go during the series. I think it would be a good thing to limit some of the matchup opportunities that he has with the Yankees. Yeah. So that could be another good thing that he has. However, this is all exclusively dependent on the health of Evan Phillips. Yeah. So at this point, I'm not counting on Evan Phillips during the series. It'd be an absolute bonus if he came in later in the series when the Dodgers head to New York, or if the series goes back to Los Angeles for game 6 or 7. It'd be absolutely tremendous, because he's one of the best 13 arms that the Dodgers have. At this point, I'm not holding out too much hope for it. However, the Dodgers could always have a little bit of a trick up their sleeve. Yeah. And we know how this Dodgers team likes to take advantage of some of the roster rules, as far as finding ways to fit in some of their arms and make sure their arms are healthy. Right? Oh, they do a lot of stuff to kind of bend the rules, which we can have a long conversation. Obviously, not the time as far as whether that's good for some of these players, but they certainly like taking advantage of some of the rules that they have.
They do. And I'm not saying, I'm sure it's totally 1,000% legit. That's not what I'm saying actually here. But I think
you just got to put your tinfoil hat on.
Yeah, but that does also just kind of bring to the surface that loophole right there. I mean, that's a way to get more than 13 pitchers on the roster in a series very, very, very easily. Yes. You can put a Brusdar Graterol, somebody like that on there, all of a sudden he becomes – they do it 1,000 different times throughout the season. They come up with some fake IL injury to get somebody on the 26-man roster. So – just a loophole there that I was kind of thinking about today. Hey, thank you so much for joining. Jordan, we've already mentioned you today, and I want to thank you for congratulating us on 5,000 subscribers. Been awesome seeing this thing grow steadily. I totally agree. Thank you so much for all the wonderful support out there, you Dodgers dogs. Austin, you've been just an absolutely huge part of growing this wonderful channel.
Oh, it's been a ton of fun. Obviously, this channel, this is grown from the foundation from what you built, Casey, and just interviewing some of the players and some of the connections that you've had in Oklahoma with Oklahoma City and Tulsa, and some of the players that you have, and just being able to talk a little bit about Dodgers baseball from a little bit of a different perspective. It is really cool what we were building here, and this building would be nothing without you guys. So I couldn't be more grateful for you guys. It's just weird that it's the day before World Series, 5,000 subscribers right here. A little bit of a cool thing that happened. That's cool. We didn't set out any sort of goals and stuff for that, but just a little bit of a cool coincidence.
Chris Dudley bringing the good news here, Austin. Alex Vesia is on, and the Dodgers desperately need his left-handed arm.
Oh, they desperately needed him. Obviously, I have a lot of confidence in Anthony Banda. But when you're going up against a Juan Soto, when you're going up against some of these left-handed hitters of the Yankees, you want another one of those high-leverage left-handed bullpen arms. And as good as Banda has been, he's not the same as an Alex Vesia, or to the skill set and talent that Alex Vesia has been this season. I think he provides another look, another option that the Yankees are going to have to worry about, as opposed to them trying to figure out one left-handed reliever out of this bullpen. They got another one. And if you know Alex Vesia, which given his reaction from when he came out during that game against the Padres, he is going to be all sorts of fired up, ready to go, and he's going to give every single ounce that is inside of him. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Super happy that he's on the roster.
Austin, we have a $4.99 super chat. Says, are you guys concerned about Flaherty's velo going down last outing? I don't think there's any way any Dodgers fans. There's no Andrew Friedman. There's no way Dave Roberts or Jack Flaherty himself couldn't say anything other than absolutely we're worried about that. Albeit he was sick, still worried. First inning will be telling. I think I always worry about Jack Flaherty, and I've never really considered him to be the top of the line type of ace. He can be that guy at any given night, don't get me wrong. And he can be that guy throughout stretches of a season or maybe even an entire season when things go right? But to me, his margin for errors are smaller than like a Tyler Glass now. Guys that have the ability to go out there and still make mistakes, but yet still be dominant. He's the guy that has to go out there and execute. And then when he doesn't, it becomes a lot more difficult on him. So, yes, his margin for errors, in my opinion, is smaller than most guys that you consider to be the top-line elite-type ace pitcher. And so any kind of drop in anything affects a guy like Jack Flaherty. And it's not because he turns into a bad pitcher. It's because we're expecting him to be that top-line ace guy, right?
Yeah, with Jack Flaherty, there can be some high variance in some of his performances just because of the way and his career trajectory has gone. This has been a career year for Jack Flaherty, no doubt about it. He has pitched like an ace-level pitcher throughout the course of the season, or a top-of-the-rotation type of arm, which was unexpected because if you look back at his past couple of seasons, he's actually struggled quite a bit. It's been unbelievable what Jack Flaherty has done, but I would be lying to you to say that I am not worried, or anybody's not worried about the dip in velo. Any sort of sign that speaks to some sort of regression or speaks to some sort of struggle for endurance throughout the course of the season. It's getting late into October, which is something that Jack Flaherty is not completely 100% used to, especially pitching in this type of role, this type of environment, this late, this many additional starts. With as good as Jack Flaherty has been, you wonder if he's kind of wearing down through the course of the season, if his stuff is going to reflect some of that. So, of course,
or if the back's bothering him.
Or it could be something to do with some type of injury that could be bothering him. The wear and tear of the season is real, and obviously has affected massively this Dodgers team and massively with a lot of these Dodgers arms that they've had. Of course, I'm worried about that. I still have confidence in what he can do. I think first inning is going to be absolutely telling to see where are some of those velos. How is he able to command the zone? Is he hitting his spots of where he needs to? And if he's able to show some good signs, I have a lot of confidence. Even if he gets through the first inning and there's zeros, but if the velo's down, if it's a little bit all over the place, he doesn't seem like he completely has it, the Dodgers could be in for a little bit of a rough performance for him, in which case the offense is going to need to step up and find a way to figure out this puzzle piece that is Gerrit Cole.
You know, there's another, I've thought about it, but with just so many different exciting parts to this, like just the Dodgers versus Yankees, Ohtani versus Judge, all those, Dave Roberts, who has a history with Aaron Boone, you know, and then all those types of just bylines. One of them that I really haven't thought of as much that just came to my mind and stuck in my mind. Remember at the trade deadline, it was the Dodgers and the Yankees for Jack Flaherty.
Yep.
And the Yankees bowed out because they were worried about his health of his back, right? Mm-hmm. So you know that Jack Flaherty would like to flip them a bird, right?
Oh, that's a storyline that I haven't thought of. That's absolutely right, because if you lined up the packages for some of the reports, it seemed like if the Yankees were willing to go ahead and make that trade, the Tigers would have probably traded with the New York Yankees. Mm-hmm. In which case, I don't know where the Dodgers would be right now. They would be missing one of their starting pitchers. It would be a little bit of a question mark as far as that is concerned.
Ryan Brazier would be starting is where they'd be.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what exactly that would do. So I think that is extra motivation. I don't know if he's thinking about that. I don't know how much he stews on that.
Oh,
but
he is. Trust
if he
me.
thinks about that,
he'll say he's not. Trust
yeah.
me. It gets those types of deals get personal, man. That's extra motivation.
Oh yeah, so that'll be something to watch. If the velo is a little bit up from last outing, could be a little bit why.
Yeah, and the extra emotions, and I think JackFlaherty's a guy that feeds off of emotions, and he's very intense. So I think that's something to watch. Are those emotions going to get to him in a positive and a negative way? Just being the World Series, being the big environment, and then also the added fuel of the Yankees passing on him because
you got to be incredibly careful with this Yankees team and with your emotions. You got to be able to execute because, as I've stated yesterday, and as I stated, this Yankees team walks a ton. They're not going to chase a lot of pitches. They chase the fewest amount of pitches in Major League Baseball. They walked 70 more times than the Dodgers did this season. The Dodgers had the second most walks in all of Major League Baseball. You're going to have to execute. You're going to have to come and make them swing and miss and find ways to be able to execute in the zone. And that is something for this Dodgers team to be able to check a lot of those emotions. I have confidence that they're going to be able to do so. They've shown that they can do so. They went on that 24-inning scoreless streak to close out the Padres when that was a high intense moment, tense type of series. And a lot of these players have been in these type of moments before. So I have a lot of confidence that the Dodgers will be able to do it. It's going to be a tough task, and they're going to need to find a way to be able to control all those emotions.
Ryan R. says, rule number 1, score first. Can you imagine with all the emotions of this World Series, if the Dodgers string a 0, Aaron Judge gets out, all this kind of deal, and Juan Soto gets out, and then Shohei Ohtani comes up and bangs a home run? I mean, can you just imagine what Dodger Stadium is going to be like? I mean, my God.
You would probably hear that in Oklahoma.
Yes.
How loud that stadium would get. I would probably hear that in the state of Michigan.
I'm so ready.
Yeah. I think that's going to be huge. Scoring first, getting out to an early lead has been the recipe for the Dodgers throughout the course of this postseason. Not getting behind, getting out to an early lead impacts the decisions that Dave Roberts is going to make out of the bullpen. It's going to impact the way that he goes about and navigating this game. So getting out to an early lead and being able to sustain it while also getting some length from JackFlaherty today, I think is going to be important because that's going to limit some of the views, some of the times that the Yankees get to see some of these A-level Dodger bullpen arms. The more times that they're going to be able to see them, the more times they're going to be able to get some reads off of them. How Dave Roberts navigates that and that aspect, I think is going to be crucial because I think the anticipation is the Yankees are going to give you less looks out of their bullpen than what the Dodgers are based off of the health of their starters. How are the Dodgers able to navigate that while also winning that matchup? So incredibly important.
Yeah. Couple things. I mean, I don't mean this to be negative or throw shade, but I darn sure trust Evan Phillips more than I do Brusdar Graterol. And I like Brusdar Graterol, and you know that throughout the regular season, this year, last year, I've been one of the few people that have tried to remind Dodgers fans just how good he actually has been because it just seems like Alex Vesia, he's been one of those lightning rods that people seem to forget how good he has been.
Yes.
Having said that, coming off of injury, I would the high leverage outs. I'm taking Evan Phillips over Brusdar Graterol. I don't think that's even a negative comment to make, is it?
No, especially with Brusdar dealing with a lot of health issues throughout the season. You don't exactly know what you're going to get. And I think even if you had a fully healthy Evan Phillips and a fully healthy Brusdar Graterol, we've seen Evan Phillips close out a lot of games and go up against a lot of those high leverage spots during the time through the order. So I would trust Evan Phillips right now. Makes me significantly nervous. I still trust Brusdar Graterol. I still think he's incredibly talented. What we're going to be able to get out of him is a complete question mark, though, right now.
I don't know where I trust him, though. I mean, like Evan Phillips is the guy that gets the biggest 3 outs of the game. Dave goes and hunts and pecks for those. And then Blake Trinan gets the last 3 outs. So I don't think Brusdar Graterol is a 1-for-1 trade in that scenario where now Brusdar Graterol is the guy that you hunt and peck for the biggest 3 outs of the game. I think that transfers to somebody else, maybe a Michael Kopech now.
That's what I would probably think. I think that transfers to a Michael Kopech, and then you have to figure out what to do with the rest of the bullpen, trying to figure out those outs.
Hey, Gardner Russell. Hey, Casey. Hey, Austin. I'm excited for tonight. I actually get to watch the game. Well, good for you, Gardner. That's going to be so exciting. Hey, good evening, Craig. Thank you so much for always your discontinued support. It was absolutely awesome. Hey, Christopher Navarro. We are all very bummed to see that Evan Phillips, as Chris Dudley's saying here, is injured. Good evening, Daryl. Thank you so much for joining. We are all excited for the World Series to get started. Yes, Chris Dudley, Tommy Edman is at shortstop. Tomorrow night it will be Miguel Rojas with Carlos Rodon, and that puts Tommy Edman in center. So you're already seeing the value of Edman. He's going to be at shortstop tonight. He's going to be in center field tomorrow. You will see Miguel Rojas tomorrow. At least that's the way it's playing out right now.
That seems to be the way things are going to operate. That it shows you just how incredibly talented and skilled, how useful having a player like a Tommy Edman is for the type of skills that it brings offensively. But I think that defensive versatility is an aspect to where you might not appreciate it at first, but when you are able to mix and match and be able to move him anywhere around and get tremendous defense anywhere, I think that comes in pretty key.
Boy, and then the hitting, too. Holy Jesus.
Oh, I know.
Donnie Boy says, thank you, gents, for your even-keeled coverage. Sans unnecessary hype. Just good ball talk. Well, we really appreciate that. Austin, comments like that mean a lot to us, don't they?
Oh, yeah. And I think we spend a lot of time thinking through, rationalizing a lot of these decisions. Obviously, I think it would be easy for us to say Dodgers are the best team in baseball. They're going to win every single game by 1,000 runs, and that's just what's going to happen. I like to think a lot of these things through and try to get to what I would really think and what from an objective baseball fan, what they would think as well. And so I think we spend a lot of time with that. And just have some good, fun baseball coverage. Like we don't discuss any of this pregame. We just go live and we just talk baseball, and that's what we like to do.
I do have show notes, but we don't go over them together. You know, I kind of think of it like when I'm trying to talk to a kid or a player in a big moment, they don't want to hear me cheerlead. Hey, everything's all right. Hey, come on, Johnny boy. Hey, come on, let's go. They don't want to hear that crap. What they want to hear is something come out of my mouth that can actually help them. You know, like an analysis like, hey, this guy's got 3 pitches. He's going to try to get ahead of you here with that. That's what they want to hear, right? So that's kind of the way that I try to approach our show here. Yeah.
Now, when I'm in the stands, like, for example, when I'm at the stands at the Great Lakes Loons game, which if you're a first-time viewer, that's a high affiliate of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Oh, I'm giving them all the goodwill. I'm not telling them.
You're not an analyst at that point. You're a fan.
I'm not an analyst at that point. I'm going to give it every single thing that I got. And if you're at Dodger Stadium, if you paid over $1,000 to get into the World Series Game 1 or any of these games, I wouldn't recommend the analyst strategy. I would go all in as I'm going to scream as loud as as loud as I can to be able to cheer on the guys. But in this type of setting, when you're just having a conversation and stuff, I think this provides a good balance and good reasonable outlook as far as the Dodgers, where I think it is obviously biased, but I think we try to do it presented in a way to where it's a little bit neutral minded and reasonable for a lot of baseball fans.
Cheerleading would be fun, a show for about 5 minutes, in my opinion. Hey, Carlos Garcia, thank you so much for joining. Yeah, it'll be interesting, as Donnie Boy's saying, is this an arm injury or is this just arm fatigue? If it is arm fatigue, I would be shocked if Evan Phillips isn't back.
Yeah, that is a real question. What is this actual status of him, which we know from just hearing some of the Dodgers injuries and with some of their pitching, what gets initially reported isn't always what the actual result is. They keep that closed-minded,
and should.
And they absolutely.
We don't have a right to know that. That's not our right.
They absolutely should do that, and it is only when it is absolutely necessary and appropriate to be able to announce that. So that's closed-minded. That is something that only the Dodgers and Dave Roberts are going to know. And if he becomes a weapon, if he is any way available, I think they're going to be able to utilize him.
We have the smartest baseball crowd, period. Not the biggest, but the smartest. It is growing. We went over 5,000 subscribers. Listen to these next couple of comments. Tigre and losing Phillips will be okay as long as Jack, Yoshi, and Walker last longer than 3 or 4 innings. That's the key.
Mm-hmm.
They need to cover the innings that Evan Phillips would have, right?
Yeah, I think that's going to be incredibly crucial to this series for them to limit some of the looks that the Yankees get, because I think it's going to be an easy temptation for Dave Roberts to go to Michael Kopech, to go to Blake Trinan every single game. But if you do that, I think the Yankees will start to figure things out, especially with as talented of hitters as they have. If you're able to get a little bit more length out of them, and especially if you're able to give this offense enough time to be able to build up a little bit of a sustainable lead, that's when you're able to throw out a Bruce Gratterall. That's when you're able to throw out a Daniel Hudson. If it gets a little bit of a bigger lead, you can throw out a Landon Knack or a Ben Casparius, which congratulations to those guys for making it onto the World Series roster from a place to where, man, I'm sure they were looking, and I have no idea when I'm ever going to get an opportunity with this major league club, to all of a sudden you're on the World Series and you're on the roster for the Los Angeles Dodgers.
What a deal.
What an absolute, and especially I think it was about like Ben Casparius when it was 2022, when he was struggling in Great Lakes and trying to find a way to make it to the major leagues. He's one of the arms that I think a lot of Dodgers fans are like, I would trust his stuff right now against in comparison to a lot of other guys. Just a phenomenal story. But if you're able to get more length from the starting pitcher, that gives your offense more time to be able to go and take care of their business. And then it provides additional optionality for Dave Roberts as far as when he wants to deploy the weapons that he has in the bullpen.
Here's another one, Chris Dudley. This is just an elite comment. Yankees are four-seam hitters. The four-seam fastball, that's straighter. Okay, that's what we used to call the straight fastball, right? They gave it a name. They call it the four-seam now. Vesia and most of the bullpen wicked off-speed. Huh?
Yeah.
How about that?
You're gonna provide some option. So this Yankees team, as talented as it is, still has some swing and miss inside of them. Aaron Judge, GiancarloStanton, Juan Soto still have a little bit of swing and miss in their approach. Now, they're incredibly talented, and they don't strike out all the time. In fact, they make contact a ton, and they're making hard contact. But there are still going to be ways for the Dodgers with their off-speed pitches to be able to approach and attack these hitters. And it's about setting them up. It's about pitch sequencing. It's going to be about the art of pitching that the Dodgers are going to be able to have to go through. There are different ways to be able to attack these hitters, though. Going to be very difficult to do.
Hey, Pizza in the Box says, hoping Ben Casparius has a coming out party like rookie Bob Welch striking out Reggie Jackson in the 78 World Series. Could you imagine Ben Casparius striking out Juan Soto or Aaron Judge? I might just faint, Austin.
Oh, I would be overjoyed, over the moon, because I remember it's different for us because obviously it's exciting for Dodgers fans.
I sat in the dugout with him in August, and he thought his chance had already gone by to make the major league.
Exactly. This is
I
the
talked to him for like 20 minutes.
This is the coolest thing for you and I, because I remember all of those times during the 2022 season when it was a Ben Casparius start, and there was times when he was struggling, when he was going and pitching with guys like a River Ryan. He was going with like a Nick Frasso or a Kyle Hurt, or a lot of these incredibly talented arms that are in this Dodgers system. And especially when you have a Dodgers team that spends a lot of money and free agency, and the options and the availability for a lot of these rookies to make it up to the major leagues is so incredibly limited. And you already have a pitcher that had spent time struggling to get him to a point in his development tracks to where he's now able to make it up to the major leagues and get into the World Series. And especially if he goes out in the World Series and has success, man, for all of those times, for all of those struggles, you can point to every single guy within this organization and say, there might be a point where you might be down, you might be struggling. Ben Casparius was at that exact same point. And you know what he was able to do? He had success in the World Series just 2 years after the struggles of 2022, or after he was able to figure things out at the minor league level. I think this provides a lot of hope for the guys in this system, and it's so incredibly cool. If he goes on and has some success, or if a guy like a Landon Knack goes out there and has some success, which I know his last performance, was not good for Landon. That does not indicate the type of pitcher that he is. And I think he's been so incredibly key and reliable to this Dodgers team throughout the course of this season, has provided great starting pitching performances. I think Dodgers fans need to remember that. If those guys are
there
able
is
to
no charity. They put him on the roster not because of charity.
Yes, exactly. And it's so cool to see those guys go out there and succeed and have some success, especially from our perspective, because we remember all of the struggles that they had, not just once they got into the major leagues, because it's just a little bit of a difference if you get into the major leagues and you struggle. Okay, at least you made it to the major leagues. But if you're grinding, still fighting for that goal in the minor leagues, and you never know if you're going to be able to make it, it's a little bit of a different struggle. And we'll be able to watch that and see him go out there, have some success. So cool to be able to watch.
Hey, Chris Dudley's bringing his A game today. Edgardo Henriquez was good in the NLCS. Great future for him.
Yes.
That brings me to my point. I've said it. He wasn't ready for anything high leverage in terms of being anybody the Dodgers had to rely on. So what they did was they just kind of let him taste it, right? They let him feel it. They let him see what it is. So now when he goes into the offseason, he knows exactly what it looks like, right? He's probably with the team right now, all of that kind of stuff. So if, he's one of those guys that they're going to taxi in case somebody gets hurt, they could put him back on this roster, that kind of thing. I've got to say, man, one of the few people out there, we love prospects as much or more than anybody, right? But we have been trying to tell people to chill on Edgardo Henriquez because it's just too difficult what he's been doing. And the Dodgers finally did, right? They finally came to that end with him, maybe, with this season as far as not being on the World Series roster. So I say all that to come to the conclusion there is no possible way the Dodgers could have handled this young man any better than they did. They were spot on with this young man at every single turn.
It has been a meteoric ascension. Yes. It has been an absolute. It's been so cool to watch Edgardo Henriquez from starting off the season as a starting pitcher in Rancho to coming up to Gray Lake, spending about a couple weeks there before he makes the way up, all the way to making it to the postseason roster, making it his major league debut from starting the season at Rancho. That is unheard of for a lot of these guys that come up through this system. Typically, they spend a lot of time within a city, or they might jump one level, maybe two levels, but to jump up all of the levels in the minor league system is unheard of. Edgardo Henriquez, his stuff is electric. He's got a lot of good stuff. And I think it was important, especially with where the Dodgers were at health-wise, they presented them with an opportunity to give Edgardo Henriquez a look into the postseason, get a feel for the environment, get a feel for a postseason type series without relying entirely in the game on Edgardo Henriquez, putting all the pressure on his shoulders to help them win a game. I don't think he was completely ready, especially with not a lot of major league experience for that, but he got some postseason experience with that. And if you look at this Dodgers team, I don't want to get too much far into the Dodgers' future because the Dodgers' future starts in about an hour for the World Series. Yes. But there is going to be some bullpen arms that are going to move on from this Dodgers team. I think Edgardo Henriquez has a chance to play an incredibly key role for this Dodgers team, not just next year, but for years down the line. And I think it's important to give a lot of these younger guys opportunities to be able to showcase that, because you need to rely on some of those guys. You can't have a 40-man roster full of just veteran type players. You need some of these younger guys to help supplement that. Edgardo Henriquez has all the talent, all the future to be a high leverage reliever. I don't think he's completely there yet. And I think some of his weaknesses go in advantage of the Yankees, which I think is why he is not currently on the World Series roster. I think that's the biggest one right now. Edgardo Henriquez, unbelievable future.
Hide behind it or sugarcoat it. I mean, getting the ball in the zone.
Yes, and that's the struggle with a lot of younger guys as well. And with the Yankees, with how much that they walk, I think it makes a lot of sense with that. So Edgardo Henriquez, unbelievable season. You got to give him an A+++ for what he was able to do this season. If he, assuming that he doesn't pitch in the World Series, which would only come if he gets added onto the roster and somebody else gets taken off and they can't return, unbelievable what he was able to do. Couldn't 100%. Be more proud of Edgardo.
No doubt. Hey, do you know anything about the umpire tonight, Carlos Torres, are saying, we got a comment here that consistently inaccurate?
I don't pay a whole lot of attention to the umpires unless it's blatantly obvious for them. You just got to go out there and execute your pitches. Right now, we still live in an environment where the umpires are going to make their own calls. I'm sure they have a scouting report as far as tendencies for the umpire and what they're able to do. I have confidence in Will Smith and his ability to be able to frame some of these pitches. I don't know exactly what the umpire show is going to look like with that. And this could change in the future as far as automatic balls and strikes or a challenge system. You're just going to be able to deal with it. This game I don't believe will be decided based off of the home plate umpire. As much as you can complain about it, it's going to be based off of the execution of what the Dodgers are going to be able to do. So I don't know a whole lot about the umpires and stuff. I'm also not too concerned because I think you outscore what the umpires are going to do.
Well, and that brings me into my talk about Gerrit Cole. Gerrit Cole reinvented himself last year. Not only did he add the cutter, what's interesting about him, and you'll find this interesting from an analytics perspective, Austin, is that metrically, his four-seam fastball that he throws almost 70% of the time, right, actually is not as good of a pitch as it was early last year. It's got his extension is shorter, right? Now he's throwing a little bit taller, a little bit higher, so it's coming. It's got so what they did was as he lost extension, so what they did to make up for that is they made him throw it higher, which gave him more ride. So his spin rate's still above 2,300 on average, which means that's pretty good backspin on the ball, right? That's going to carry pretty well. So they raised his arm slot to give him that good ride at the top of the zone. So although the velo's a couple of notches down, the extension's not as good, the ride at the top of the zone is better than it ever has been for Gerrit Cole. That is a pitch I think that's going to determine how the Dodgers do. Can Shohei Ohtani lay off that pitch up in the zone? Can Max Muncy lay off that high-riding four-seam up in the zone? Can Will Smith lay off of it? And when it's a strike, can they get to it? Yeah. That's a pitch that gets to Mookie Betts because he has that slight uppercut in his swing a lot. So that is a high-riding four-seam that if he's hitting the top of that zone with a strike, that is a pitch that will give the Dodgers absolute fits. That's cat and mouse game number one. Now, beyond that, if he's not able to, if the Dodgers are laying off of it and it's not for a strike and he's getting behind, now he's very good at throwing to the periphery, to the outside and inner half, not as much to the lower half, but outside inner half. Now the question is going to be, just like it was against all those pitchers for the Mets, the lefties especially, was if it's 2 inches outside, do the Dodgers swing at it and have soft contact, or do they take it and it's ball two? Those are your two cat and mouse games against Gerrit Cole. And I'm just telling you, if he's pelting the top of that zone for strikes, the Dodgers are in trouble. If he's not, it's going to come down to whether they can be disciplined on the inner and outer halves of the plate.
One of the best things about the Dodgers offense during that series against the Mets was their plate discipline. It was the reason why they were able to score 100%. So many runs during that series. The Mets pitchers gave up a ton of walks, and you got to give credit to the Dodgers for being able to lay off a lot of pitches, waiting for things, having good game plan, and staying in the zone. With Gerrit Cole, he's missed part of this season. But during the parts that he has had, it's been a little bit of interesting results. He still has that type of A's top pitcher in Major League Baseball type of quality in him. And if he is in his zone, if he's able to hit the fastball in the spots that he wants up in the zone and have that ride to it, the Dodgers hitters are going to have a really tough time of that. Gerrit Cole is a tremendous pitcher. And I fully expect for him to present his best to the Dodgers tonight. I think that's going to create an environment where the Dodgers have to take advantage of the runners in scoring position that they actually do get. They're going to have to be patient. They're going to have to try to get these Yankees pitchers to throw as many pitches as they possibly can, not getting into those quick one or two.
It's an old-fashioned plan for them, yes.
It absolutely is, and it is the type of
pitch
plan.
Count, get into the bullpen.
It is the type of plan that has worked so well for this Dodgers team, and And it is the only way that this Dodgers team is going to be able to wear out this Yankees staff. The Yankees do have a lot of arms that can provide some length for them that are on the roster right now. And their arms, I think part of their plan is to limit some of the looks that the Dodgers get at some of their high leverage arms.
Yep.
If you're able to get some of those high leverage arms, or get to maybe some of the mid-level bullpen arms of the Yankees, that's going to provide a ton of opportunities. And with a Gerrit Cole, make him work a count, take a ton of pitches, and good luck.
Yep, absolutely. Hey, Roy Song, excited but nervous. Cole, hey, boys, I'm not going to lie. I'm nervous as heck. I'll say that, right? Hey, but I say Dodgers in 5. Love the attitude. Hey, Delirium 9, Flaherty, this is my point with Flaherty.
Yeah.
Because of the margin for error. I think he can pitch like an ace. I don't think you should rely on him to be that top shelf ace like the Dodgers are having to. That's what Delirium 9's saying here. Flaherty was supposed to be the Dodgers' number 3. You're supposed to have Glass now, a healthy Yamamoto, then JackFlaherty. But here we are. You're going to go to war with him in game 1. So Jay has a question. Who scares you the most or the least, Stanton, Judge, or Soto? Stanton scares me the least because I think he has the most amount of holes. I would say Soto is next, and then definitely Aaron Judge scares me the most because the thing about Aaron Judge, he can be off so far on timing, bat playing, all of that. See, like when you watch GiancarloStanton, everything has to go perfect for him, basically, for him to hit the ball. He's going to swing and miss if his timing's not perfect, if his bat playing's not perfect. With Juan Soto, there's more margin for error than GiancarloStanton, but with Aaron Judge, that dude can literally be off by so many miles that the average mere mortal wouldn't probably even hit the ball, and he can still hit it 400 feet. So, yeah. I mean, Aaron Judge just has margin for error that I don't think that I've ever seen out of a hitter.
Yeah, and you saw that with one of his home runs that he had against Cleveland in the opposite field. It's one of those hits that, man, most hitters wouldn't be able to do anything with that, and he was still able to, even despite the not great contact that he was looking for, still be able to hit it out of the ballpark. I think the layoff could potentially cool down the bat of a GiancarloStanton. This could be a little bit presumptuous. GiancarloStanton has been unbelievable during this postseason. It's been a little bit of a long layoff for the Dodgers. It's been an even longer layoff for the Yankees. And I think with as hot as Giancarlo was, I think that could be a little bit in the advantage of the Dodgers, especially with there being potential holes that the Dodgers will be able to hit with Giancarlo. He seems to be a little bit of a different animal during the postseason, but during the regular season, there's different ways to be able to attack him, and I think the Dodgers have arms that can generate some swing and miss. So then it comes down to Judge versus Soto, and I don't want to pitch. I don't want to pitch to either of those two guys. You could make the argument if I just want to go with the argument with Soto, just provide a little bit of a different perspective, and just say that Dodgers have a lot of high leverage right-handed pitchers. They only have Alex Vesia, who I don't know how healthy he is coming off. I don't know if he's at the 90% or at the 100% that he needs to be. And they have Anthony Banda that could present some matchup type of opportunities. And with the Juan Soto, who has seen the Dodgers a lot more than an Aaron Judge has, perhaps you fear him a little bit more. Any one of those guys they're three tremendous.
I fear Aaron Judge the most by far.
Yeah. They're three tremendous hitters, and the Dodgers are going to have their handful. I think Aaron Judge, with what he was able to do this season, he is the American League MVP. And I mean, you're talking 220, 230 WRC plus on the season for Aaron Judge.
Ridiculous.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it's just ridiculous, and
it's not human. I don't even understand it.
I don't understand an Aaron Judge.
Hey, let's rock through these things and let's get out of here. Let's try to get out of here in about 5 more minutes. Let's get to these questions here. They say Flaherty was sick during the last outing. Christopher Navarro, yes, that is what we've heard. We will see. I think we'll know right off the bat. Delirium 9 says all three scare, but Stanton seems to be the one to pitch around right now. We'll see how the layoff deals with that. That'll be an interesting viewpoint. Austin, you just hit on that just a minute ago. Tony Forkish. Hey, guys, it's a beautiful day for a ball game. Let's go Dodgers. No doubt about it. T. Gray and Soto is so consistently great, especially in clutch situations. Yeah, they're all three just tremendous hitters. Tony Forkish. But if I were to ask you, Austin, which one of the three hitters between the three has the ability to really disappear and go into a massive slump for this entire series, which one would you say it would be?
Stanton.
Yeah, no doubt. It's not even close.
Yeah, it would be Stanton. Both the other two players have a lot of ability. Like they have like a 20% walk percentage or like an 18%.
Right. Exactly.
So that even when they're not making incredible contact, they're getting on a base a ton. They're making a big impact.
Hey, Tony Forkish, FYI, Rob Manfred has to approve any injury replacement. Don't be surprised if we see Kiermaier later for Rojas as well, particularly in New York. There's a good point, too. We didn't bring up earlier. Hey, Nando, 390, we are all nervous, no doubt about it. Pizza in the inbox. You can see my barn just chopped up on my lap. He's ready for Daddy to take him for a walk. Hey, pizza in the box, small sample size, but Soto 0 for 3, 1 walk, 2 Ks against Vesia. Yeah, and that's, that lefty deal. Alex Vesia, man, the Dodgers needed this guy. Can't understate that.
That they needed this guy. They needed some sort of high leverage lefty arm. We talked about that a lot during the previous offseason. And it turned out that Alex Vesia was able to figure out a lot of things and turn into that high leverage lefty arm. And he's been so crucial for this Dodgers team this season. And he's going to be big, especially during that Juan Soto matchup, because that will become a factor, not just once, but multiple times throughout the series.
Tony Forkish, here's a great comment. Flaherty has to get in strike one. If he doesn't get in strike one and he's having to serve up decent pitches and not great pitches, right? His velo's not enough. He doesn't have enough to get it by an Aaron Judge. I think that's a great point because he's got to be able to get to a secondary. It's called making those hitters hit pitchers' pitches. He's got to put himself in pitchers' counts, so the Yankees have to hit pitchers' pitches. That's the formula.
The math changes pretty dramatically. 1-0 versus 0-1.
Hey, Jay asked, Austin, how likely do you think base running is to be a factor in the cities? Yankees have the worst base running in the major leagues, and the Dodgers are top 5. I think I was getting ready to say before I even read those statistics, I think the Dodgers will try to generate runs more than the Yankees will. That's one of the reasons why I like the Dodgers offense better this year. It makes it more dynamic.
Yeah, the Yankees run themselves, and we've seen it throughout the postseason. They run themselves into outs with just stupid base running mistakes. The Dodgers have to be better than the Yankees in that aspect. They have to take advantage, even if they don't have the starting pitching matchup advantage. I think the Dodgers have other matchup advantages to where they are better positioning themselves than the Yankees. I still like their bullpen better than the Yankees. I still like their other 6 hitters that they have better than what the Yankees do. And as you see, the Dodgers dogs right there. Base running is another one of those aspects that it might not seem like it makes that big of a difference, but in the space of a 1-run difference, that can make all the difference in the world. The Dodgers are a significantly better base running team than the Yankees. The Yankees have to clean that up if they want to take advantage of all the opportunities that they're going to have this series.
I'm Tony Forkish. I'm sort of with you. The Dodgers may be somewhat punting this game. And what we mean by saying that is you hedge your bets throwing Yoshinobu Yamamoto in Game 2 against Rodon because Yamamoto has shown the ability to go out there and just completely blank and throw zeros and be completely untouchable and just go out there and win a game by himself, at least for the time he's out there. So you're kind of hedging your bets to not lose both is kind of what Tony's saying there. I mentioned that in the show last night. Christopher Navarro, this is a great point, too. If Cole's on tonight, the keys, you're not going to hit him, right? I mean, it's going to be tough at least. Not going to score a whole lot of runs on him. So even if you don't hit him and you do lose, the key is going to be get the pitch count up, okay? Grind is – there's a couple of deals to this. One, you get to see more pitches from him, which only helps the Dodgers hitters. Then you get him out faster. Then you get to see the bullpen more. So even if you don't win this game, which we're not saying we want that or anything, it's very important either way, win, lose, or draw, to grind this pitch count tonight.
I want to see one of those Max Muncy 10 to 12 pitch battles with Gerrit Cole. I think that would be big for them, and one of those things that they should be looking for. One, look to drive the ball, look to hit it far, but also be able to drive up that pitch count. Gerrit Cole is a tremendous talent, a tremendous pitcher. The Dodgers hitters are going to have their hands full.
Hey, Christopher Navarro, this podcast is more cranial than others on YouTube. It's from coach's perspective and the analytical side as a former college pitcher. I enjoy this format over most smack talk cast. Hey, thank you, Christopher. That means a lot from somebody who has such high level experience as you do. Thank you very much. We are getting down to the bottom here. We got about 5 more minutes. Ryan R., I believe that Honeywell and Kasparius will go down as 2 of the legends of the Dodgers 2024 World Series. That would be awesome. Hey, Strict Hydra at 9105, Judge and Soto will get theirs. I just hope it's not with runners on base. We mentioned that yesterday. You cannot walk people to the top of this lineup for the Yankees and put people on for free in front of the middle of their lineup. Chris Fallberg, I'm fine with Edman hitting 9th. Osterberg saying Edman should hit in the 4th spot. Then Fallberg saying I'm fine with Edman hitting 9th so long the hits keep coming. Just saying I don't give a crap where he's hitting in the lineup, just as long as he keeps hitting, right? Hey, yeah. Oscar Leon Phillips is hurt, yes. Arm fatigue. We are getting ready to go, Barn, I promise, right here. We're going to get to a couple more. I think the Yankees. This is from Yuchi Sanuda. I think Yankees relief and closing pitcher is not strong. This is the point the Dodgers can win the game. So the Dodgers will start to the point from the 6th inning. Get the ball to the bullpen within good striking distance, right?
Yeah, and that's not to say that the Yankees bullpen has been bad. They have been pretty solid throughout the course of the season. They have some arms that are pretty talented. I just don't think their depth. They don't have as much depth as the Dodgers do. And I think the more looks that you're able to have on them, I think the better that the Dodgers are going to be able to perform.
All right, Barn is ready. Boy, howdy, Christopher Navarro. Thank you so much. Look at that, man. Hey. Look at that, Barn right there. That's $20 right there. That's $20 super chat for Dodgers Dawgs. How about that? Yeah, he's ready to go for his walk. It is past time. Hey, so we're going to read a couple more comments. Orlando being patient says being patient is what needs to happen, and then the Dodgers need to win on the margins. You talk about that a lot. Last question here from Tien Yang. Which team has the better defense? And we'll answer that with Austin, and we will get the heck up on out of here.
I feel more confident, and especially with a lot of the moves that the Dodgers have been able to make, that the Dodgers have the better defense. I don't know that 100% metrically wise, but
it's hard to tell.
I feel very confident in the defense that the Dodgers have right now. I love the improvements that, for example, a player like Max Muncy has been able to provide. I feel 100% confident with what Tommy Edman, no matter where he goes, what he's able to provide. I feel a lot of confidence in this Dodgers defense, and I think they are going to provide a lot of good things for them and not put themselves into bad situations or give the Yankees some extra outs. So I feel a lot of confidence in them. And again, thank you so much, Christopher Navarro. You're absolutely tremendous. And the comments throughout the show have been absolutely wonderful. Love talking Dodgers baseball. This is the only time today that we're going to be talking Dodgers baseball tonight, right, Case?
Yeah, post game tonight. Come back. Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. I want to thank my Dodgers Dogs for hanging in and not ruining the show with all their talk that they usually do, right? Hey, Austin, you're going to be part of the post game, right?
Oh, I will be up. I will be excited. I'll be throwing my hat all around, watching the World Series. Hopefully not too much because we'll be rejoicing at a 1-0 series lead for the Dodgers after tonight. Absolutely. It's the World Series, Casey.
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
This is it.
Oh, I said let's go. Barn was like, oh, let's go. Okay, come on, Daddy. That's the magic word for Barn. So got to go on that one. No doubt about that. My Vivido is waiting over there in the golf cart ready for Mommy and Daddy to take him for a walk. So that means it's time to get out of here. It's a great day to be a Dodger. It is World Series Game 1, Dodgers and the Yankees. Go Dodgers.